Part 187. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzwan Xianxia. Chapter 1866. Zuyun said nothing, and Fairy Xianxia did not dare to ask. However, on the way back, she also keenly discovered that there seemed to be something different in the southern fairyland. However, she didn't dare to ask Zuyun, or even followed behind him, letting Zuyun's chaotic power wrap him up. In this way, after traveling for a long time, they passed through the demon world passage. Zuyun saw it for the first time, so he couldn't help but look at it a few more times. He couldn't help but wonder in his heart, what is the scene on the other side of the demon world? In addition, Zuyun also saw that there was no law left in this black hole, neither time nor space. It seems that all laws have no effect on this black hole. Is it possible that this passage transcends the level above the fairy world and can connect the two worlds? Zuyun whispered in his heart, wanting to use the divine eye technique to see it, but he was afraid of causing other trouble. Anyway, this place will be handed over to the dragon and phoenix tribes when the time comes, and it's none of his business. Although Yayong had arranged everything, Zuyun still had some resistance from the bottom of his heart. After watching this for a long time, Zuyun continued heading north. The Sea of Chaotic Stars is at the junction of the Western Immortal Realm and the Southern Immortal Realm. Zuyun knows the approximate location, but it is not that easy to find it. After walking for more than a month, he still couldn't find it, and he couldn't help but become a little impatient. Zuxian, don't be too anxious. Fairy Xianxia finally found a chance to talk to Zuyun. These days were also quite sad for her. I know, Zuyun responded lightly and said, Xianxia, we are destined to meet in the fairy world, but right now, I feel that this fairy world is not suitable for you. How about I send you to another place? Go, where? Fairy Xianxia was frightened. In another place, is it possible to die? Seeing the other party acting like this, Zuyun couldn't help but smile. Knowing that Fairy Xianxia had misunderstood, he smiled and said, I'm not asking you to die. I finally brought you back to life. How could I let you die? Although Zuyun was indeed fine when he fished Fairy Xianxia out of the long river of time and space, it still took a toll on him. Not that it was easy. But when Fairy Xianxia heard it, she was a little stunned for a moment. Am I dead? When did I die? Zuyun immediately knew it, but was too lazy to explain, so he smiled and said, it is also a fairyland, but it is not as big as the fairyland. You can call it the glazed fairyland. As soon as she finished speaking, Fairy Xianxia saw that Zuyun seemed to have turned into a black hole that was exactly like the passage in the devil world, and she was sucked into it. The next moment, she was in the Liuli immortal realm, standing in front of the immortal mansion with a blank look on her face. Master, you have brought back another immortal, but she is only a true immortal. The dragon suppressing stone poked its head out from the plaque. True immortal. These two words seemed to awaken Xianxia Fairy. She was indeed a true fairy. But what does this demonic dragon mean? Coupled with the Liuli world mentioned by Zuyun. Feeling the chaotic power flowing between heaven and earth, Fairy Xianxia is more willing to believe that this is a fairyland in the fairy world. What, you haven't come to your senses yet? Zuyun's chuckle sounded in his ears. Zuxian, this is, Liuli fairyland. Fairy Xianxia asked quickly. Zuyun smiled and corrected his mistake, it's Liuli immortal world, not fairyland. Xianxia, it's very safe here. You can always practice here. Of course, if you don't want to practice, it's okay. Ah, this. Fairy Xianxia was stunned and didn't know what to say. You know, after she went to the fairy world, she has been enslaved. Until he met Zuyun. But everything that happened next to Zuyun was a little difficult for her to understand. For example, she died once. Another example is saying that this is another fairyland. Master, it seems she doesn't quite understand what you mean. Xianxia said with a smile that he actually recognized Fairy Xianxia. It's just that I'm too lazy to say it. After all, it now controls the entire Liuli immortal realm, and there is no need to get closer to Fairy Xianxia to avoid trouble. It's okay, Zuyun laughed and turned to Xianxia, you can understand that this is a fairyland created by me. Here, there is no intrigue or intrigue. If you want to practice, you can practice. If you don't want to, practice. As long as you don't do anything unconscionable or against morality. Zuyun explained again, and now Fairy Xianxia finally understood, and said with a shocked face, Zhu Xian, this is your fairy world. Yes, my fairy world, Zuyun smiled and said, go and have a good look, maybe, you can even find old friends from the Xianguang sect. All the disciples of Xianguang sect were accepted into the great universe world by Zuyun at that time. And the world of Dazhu has become the Liuli immortal world, and the monks of Xianguang sect naturally still exist. Even Zuyun also felt at this time that many monks had become immortals because of the chaotic fairy power here. They are not earthly immortals and true immortals, but ordinary immortals. In fact, everyone here is considered an immortal. However, if Zuyun didn't say anything, they still couldn't react. Even, there is no such convenient awareness. Not only the human race, but also the beast race, and the deep-sea monsters in the world sea. In the Liuli immortal world, there is only one kind of power, and that is the power of chaos immortal. Zhu Xian, I have something to say, I don't know how to tell you. Fairy Xianxia finally accepted the fact, but she remembered something important. Oh. Zuyun raised his eyebrows and said, come and listen. That's it, Fairy Xianxia took a deep breath and said, earlier, you were standing in front of a black edge and said to yourself that it was the passage to the devil's world. I also followed it for a long time and found something. Again, just now, when you said you would take me into the glazed immortal realm, I felt like I was being sucked in by a black hole. It felt like I had entered the demonic realm. Zuyun was stunned and said, why do you feel like this? Fairy Xianxia saw that Zuyun's attitude was no different from usual, so she breathed a sigh of relief and said, Zhu Xian, because I practice the law of rays of light. In the black hole, I felt that after some rays of light entered, they would immediately dissipate. And the black hole you formed gave me the same feeling. Fairy Xianxia was not stupid. She followed her all the way from the southern immortal realm. Zuyun never stopped anywhere for more than 3 breaths. Only before the demon world passage. Think of yourself entering this world again. Fairy Xianxia naturally knew that Zuyun did not understand the demon world passage and wanted to learn something from it. I don't understand. But he can tell Zuyun his feelings. Sure enough, after hearing this, Zuyun's brows also knitted together. Fairy world. Demonic world. Liuli fairyland. In what way do they coexist and connect? This question suddenly appeared in his mind. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1867. What Zuyun knows is that the speed of light is extremely fast. But in the passage that looks like a black hole, even light cannot exist and nothing can be seen. So could it be that this black hole is actually another piece of void? It's like, one realm and another realm are not actually connected together. The passage that appears is actually not a passage, but a distance from one realm to another, belonging to that other void. It's like from one world star to another, or from fairyland to another fairyland, the fairyland environment they have experienced is the same. Thinking of this, Zuyun suddenly realized something in his mind. It looks dull from the outside, but inside there must be laws. For example, the laws of space and time. Because of the isolation of the void, the laws in the two realms will be different. The demon world and the fairy world are obviously different. And because of this, there is a huge difference between one world star and another world. Zuyun suddenly became enlightened because of Fairy Xianxia's unintentional words. Xianxia, you go to Xianguang section. Zuyun chuckled. He felt that if he understood this topic, he would be able to solve the current problem more easily. For example, seal this passage. The reason why he stood in the passage for a long time was actually for this reason. But unexpectedly, it was Fairy Xianxia who discovered it. Zhu Xian, where is the immortal light section? Fairy Xianxia saw that Zhu Yun's expression had softened a lot, and her heart was naturally relaxed, so she asked with a smile. If you go all the way north, you can find the Xianguang section. Zhu Yun could know where the Xianguang sect was with just a thought. Thank you Zuxian. Fairy Xianxia knelt down on the ground, leaning on the ground towards Zhu Yun, showing great respect. After Zhu Yun nodded slightly, Fairy Xianxia turned into a ray of light, soared into the sky, and then sped away towards the north. She is already an immortal, but she doesn't need much adaptation in this Liyulai immortal world. Most of the laws here have been perfected, and the Xiaoguang law is actually a type of star law. After Fairy Xianxia left, Zhenlongxi said, Master, what did you realize? I can't say much, I just have a little idea in my mind. Zhu Yun just turned his head slightly, saw the Chaos Lotus on Jixian Mountain, and asked, is there anything strange there? Zhenlongxi shook his head and said, the Chaos Lotus has not moved, but the Chaos immortal power in this world is getting stronger and stronger. Master, will this change? No, Zhu Yun said with a smile, this is because of my cultivation. Chaos Lotus just acts accordingly. That's good, Zhenlongxi nodded, and then asked, Master, have you arrived at the ancestral land of the Dragon Clan? However, you said earlier that you would attract the Dragon and Phoenix clan into the Liyulai immortal realm to guard it. Why now? Don't need it anymore. Why don't you need it? Zhu Yung just asked, then he realized that the Zhenlong stone must have seen the relationship between him and the water of Hualong Pond. He smiled and said directly, no need. It doesn't mean much whether it is suppressed or not. But words then again, if I let you guard this fairy land in the future, would you be willing? Zhenlongxi smiled bitterly and said, Master, I just want to live forever in peace. You let me guard, what if something goes wrong? If something goes wrong here, something must have happened to me. Zhu Yun shook his head. He was slightly unhappy with Zhenlongxi's complacent temperament. But everyone has his own ambitions. If not, how could he let the dragon-suppressing stone become the immortal of the immortal mansion, and finally integrate it into the great universe world, turning this place into the glazed immortal world? No need to blame. Zhu Yun smiled and patted Zhenlongxi on the shoulder, and said with a smile, okay, I'm going over there. After that, he left and flew to the back of Jixian Mountain in a short time. You can also see the water of Hualong Pond there. It barely covered the totem pole's feet. The trial platform was held up by 12 totem poles and became a suspended platform. Looking at it at this time, it turned out to be surrounded by immortal power, which was indescribably wonderful. From Zhu Yun's previous perspective, this trial platform was nothing more than a platform. But now that his realm has reached a higher level, when he looks at the trial platform, he has other ideas. Most of the people here have directly transformed from monks to immortals, because all the power in the air has turned into immortal power, leaving them at a loss for what to do. It's okay for ordinary immortals. They have never been exposed to cultivation and can directly perceive the power of chaos. But monks who have already practiced will have their ideas fixed to some extent due to different cultivation methods. If they stand on this trial stage and are assisted by 12 demon immortals, can they realize that the power of the chaos immortal is different from what they have practiced before? Zuyun couldn't help but think about this. In the previous world of Dazhu, all the people cultivated immortality, which was of great help to him. But after becoming a fairy, apart from the power of faith, there was no sustainable power available to him. On the contrary, it comes more from the chaos immortal power transformed by chaos lotus. But if so, all the immortals here will become real immortals. Then his strength. Wouldn't it explode again? Why don't we call this trial platform the Immortal Ascension Platform? Zuyun suddenly smiled. In his opinion, it was feasible. With the help of 12 demon fairies, and the fact that the immortals here now all had zodiac signs, there would definitely be a demon fairy who could help. If the entire Liuli immortal realm was full of immortals, then naturally, those ordinary immortal beasts would also be affected. Huh. Zuyun exhaled and called out softly, Long Wu. Zuyun. A golden demon light flashed on the demon dragon totem pole, and then it turned into a human-shaped phantom and appeared in front of Zuyun. It was Long Wu. What did you think of? When Zuyun came here, all the other demon fairies woke up, but seeing Zuyun staring at the trial platform in a daze, they didn't want to disturb him. However, Zuyun only called Long Wu, so they naturally wouldn't show up on their own initiative, but just opened their eyes on the totem pole and looked at Zuyun. I have an idea, he pointed at the trial platform and said, turn this trial platform into an ascension platform. Ascension platform. Long Wu was naturally familiar with these three words. The original Huangming Xing had an ascension platform. After walking through the ascension platform, he could directly ascend to become an immortal. However, this is already the fairyland, so Zuyun meant to let them feel the laws on the ascension platform and become immortals who can practice the laws from immortals. Yes, do you think it's feasible? Zuyun asked with a chuckle. Long Wu pondered for a moment and said, we can stimulate their abilities with the power of the zodiac, but everyone has different talents. It doesn't matter. As long as it's feasible, let your Tianming Beast clan do it. How about it? Thank you for fulfilling your mission. Long Wu clasped his fists. The other demon immortals also appeared and bowed to Zuyun like Long Wu. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1868. After getting the consent of these demon immortals, Zuyun also nodded, then looked at Long Wu and asked, is the water of the dragon transformation pond useless to you? It's useless, Long Wu also said with a smile. Did you return this pool of water to the dragon clan? Well, I paid it back, but I didn't want to pay it all back, so I kept some. Zuyun danced casually, and under the valley, all the water from the Hualong pond rushed toward Zuyun, forming a huge water ball in front of him. Zuyun slapped his chest again, and the water ball immediately got into his glazed fairy mirror. Okay, it's time for me to leave. I'll leave the other things to you. Zuyun waved his hand and said goodbye to all the demons and immortals. The figure flashed, and the next moment, Zuyun appeared directly on the seaside of the world. He had an idea, since the water from the dragon transformation pond was so useful, pouring all the remaining water into the world sea might be of some help to the deep sea giant monster here, or other sea monsters. And even if there was an accident, in this glazed world, he could still completely control it, so it wouldn't be a big deal. Zuyun patted his chest again, and the laws on the glazed fairy mirror were flowing. In the blink of an eye, a black hole like a passage in the demon world was formed on his chest, and the water of the Hualong pond gushes out from it. There were waves of dragon energy, stirring up the chaos immortal power, but they quickly merged together. Is the water of Hualong pond also comparable to the power of chaos immortal? Zuyun suddenly had such a question in his mind. After all, Chaos immortal power is an extremely high level of immortal power, even in the immortal world, it is the best. In addition, these powers can also transform forms. The Chaos immortal power can turn into immortal snow, and the dragon power can be liquefied, and maybe it can also exist. So, is the water of the dragon transformation pond the transformation of pure dragon power? Although Zuyun had soaked in the Hualong pond, he also used the Hualong pond as an ascension pond to shape his immortal body. But he has never carefully felt the power in Hualong pond compared with other immortal powers. It was also at that time that he had just arrived in the immortal world. Although he was an immortal, he was not an immortal, and his realm was also low, so naturally he didn't think too much about it. However, this had no impact on him now, and Zuyun didn't pay too much attention to it, watching the water from Hualong Pond flow into the sea, and finally drifted with the current, completely integrating into the sea water. I don't know what's going on with Laowan. Let's check with him. Zuyun felt that before entering the Chaos Star Sea, he must be in a stable state of mind. He heard too much news from Yeyang and felt a little uneasy, and he felt it himself. Therefore, he was not in a hurry to leave. Wan Potion is also a veteran immortal king in the immortal world. Maybe if you talk to him, you can learn something. With a thought in his heart, Zuyun discovered that at the other end of the world sea, a sword-like mountain stood exactly like the Wanjian mountain he had seen in Huangming Xing. But there is definitely a difference. That Wanjian mountain is Wan Potion's chaos sword. And this one is just in shape. Zuyun chuckled lightly, and the next moment, he appeared in front of Wan Potion. You brat, you almost scared me. Wan Potion was teaching a few people to practice swordsmanship. Zuyun's sudden appearance, with the kind of power that only an immortal king could feel, made Wan Potion almost think that an immortal had invaded the Liulai immortal world. You accepted a disciple so quickly? Are you very fast? Zuyun smiled and joked, but found that Wan Potion's apprentice looked a bit familiar, but he didn't recognize him after looking carefully. Wan Potion said helplessly, do you think I want to? There is really nothing I can do, Zuyun. He pointed at Wanjian mountain with a sad face and said, my fairy sword is gone and the mountain is gone. How can I prepare it again? Fortunately, your fairy world is not polluted and is full of chaotic fairy power. It can help me build a mountain and a sword. I also need disciples who are extremely talented in swordsmanship and can cultivate them with their sword heart. Zuyun didn't know much about swords. Although he had used the Wuji sword technique before, it was just for use. After arriving in the immortal world, the main focus is on the law of cultivation. The law of the five elements, the law of chaos, or the law of space and time that he himself fused. It doesn't matter, you can do whatever you think is good. I'm looking for you today. I want to ask you about something and what you think. Zuyun looked around and sat on a stone pier. Wan Potion waved his hand to the young disciple, and then he left. When no one was around, he pinched a few sword chi to form a sword chi formation, and then walked to Zuyun's side and said, you want to ask about the secrets of the fairy world. You are asking the right person. I know something about it. After all, in the past, in order to seek breakthroughs, I have competed with countless people. My knowledge is pretty good. Wan Potion said proudly, but also a little frustrated, and said, it's just that there is a lot of memory loss, and I may not be able to remember the details. Zuyun smiled and said, your memory has not been completely restored. No, Wan Potion said with a bitter smile, not only is it missing, but I recently discovered that it has been tampered with. It's very possible that even you don't believe this person. Upon hearing this, Zuyun couldn't help but be stunned. Is there anyone who can tamper with the memory of an immortal lord? Then how did you know? He couldn't help but cheer up. Maybe it was related to Yeyang. Because I have been recognized by your fairy world, the fairy magic originally applied to my fairy soul will naturally fade away slowly, but after all, my memory has been tampered with for too long, and I really can't remember some of it. It shouldn't be Nangong Tianli, right? Zuyun always thought that it was Nangong Tianli who forced Wan Potion to the lower world, but after hearing Wan Potion's expression, he naturally felt that it was not. You can't even guess who it is, Wan Potion said with a wry smile. There is a figure in my mind. He held a huge hammer and smashed it on my forehead. After knocking me unconscious, he used fairy magic to enter my soul, not only sealed my memory, but also tampered with the sealed part a lot. If I hadn't also decided to become the fairy king of your Liulai fairy world, I'm afraid the fairy way here would not help me drive away the fairy magic under the original fairy way. Zuyun took a deep breath. The person you are talking about, it can't be Yayong, right? Yayong held the hammer. Moreover, Wan Potion and Yayong's incarnation also had a lot of interactions on Huangming Xing. In addition to the mortal world and the spirit world, there is also the Qingping immortal kingdom. Yes, it's Yayong. Wan Potion sighed and said, I really can't beat Yayong, but I have a very good relationship with him. Why did he hurt me, seal me, and change my memory? Zuyun's eyes flashed, and he suddenly said, you can't be, Qiu Linjian, the immortal partner who scolded him. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzhuan Xianxia. Chapter 1869. Wan Potion's face changed, and his brows knitted together, as if Zuyun's words had opened the last scar sealed in his memory. But he couldn't open it, so anxiously that Wan Potion raised his fist and smashed his head. Zuyun was also stunned. He just said it casually, but he didn't expect it to be like this. Yayong himself said that he had beaten many people because of scolding Qiu Linjian. I didn't expect that Wan Potion had done such a thing. I remember, damn, dog Yayong, he is really a piece of shit. Suddenly, Wan Potion cursed and stood up with a face full of resentment, with sword energy lingering all over his body, and said angrily, he actually sneak attacked me for a woman, knocked me unconscious, and did something. He also made me suffer in the mortal world. Zuyun was speechless. Suddenly, he felt that Yayong's behavior seemed to be similar to that of a naughty boy. Is it his nature, or is it intentional? Zuyun did not stop Wan Potion from cursing until he stopped and calmed down. He also thought of a question he wanted to ask. Old Wan, do you know, Blue Star? Wan Potion said coldly, of course I know, Yayong is from Blue Star. As soon as he came, he was invincible in the fairy world, except for me. Zuyun asked curiously, then how could you lose to Nangong Tianli? It's because of him, Wan Potion said helplessly. When I competed with him, I had mastered the swordsmanship and was very sharp, and he had just arrived in the fairy world, so we didn't know each other until we fought. It was also later that he told me that if I wanted to fight, I should fight the Immortal Emperor. I said, I'm going to fight the Immortal Emperor. Then who are you going to fight? He said he was going to fight the Immortal Lord, and then the Immortal Emperor. I thought, if Yayong could fight the Immortal Lord, then it wouldn't be hard for me to fight the Immortal Emperor. Who knew that I was too arrogant and fell into Nangong Tianli's trap, losing the Chaos Sword and the 10,000 Swords Mountain. When I went back, Yayong had already become the central Immortal Emperor. He also said that it was Qiu Linjian's idea, so I scolded Qiu Linjian in person. Who knew that this kid turned his face and didn't recognize me, and knocked me out with a hammer? At that time, I had no swords and no mountains. How could I be his opponent? Hearing these past events, Zuyun was also quite helpless. While smiling bitterly, Wan Potion stood up, looked at the sky, and said, Yayong, is he okay now? I heard from the Immortal Lord that Yayong was knocked unconscious, and the central immortal realm was also controlled by other immortal lords. Zuyun shook his head and said, Xian Wuzong, may not be the Immortal Lord. Not the immortal lord? Do you know what you are talking about, Zuyun? Wan Potion was stunned for a moment, and turned to look at Zuyun. Yang told me that it was not the immortal lord. Besides, have you seen the immortal lord? This made Wan Potion fall into deep thought. He is an immortal lord, and now his reaction is not fast enough. It is nothing more than the dusty memory coming back, and it is a little confused for a while. After being reminded by Zuyun, his brows were relaxed a lot, and he said, "It seems that I have never seen the immortal lord. Then who is he? I thought that Xian Wuzong attacked him, took away the Chaos Sword, and turned over the 10,000 Swords Mountain to release 2 immortal emperors because he had a close relationship with Yang. But I didn't expect that Xian Wuzong was not the immortal lord." He knew Zuyun would not lie to him. Since Zuyun said it himself, it was Yang who said it, so he must be right. But since he was not the immortal lord, why did he attack him? This made Wan Potion wonder. Maybe, there are other reasons we don't know, but Old Wan, are you sure Xian Wuzong brought 2 immortal emperors into the chaos? Of course I am sure, Wan Potion said seriously. I was crazy for a while, but it doesn't mean that I will forget what I saw and heard. I saw them flying into the chaos against the chaos immortal snow with my own eyes. How could I be wrong? Zuyun touched his chin and said, Yang said that there is no origin fountain in the fairy world, and Xian Wuzong is not the immortal lord, but he brought the immortal emperor into the chaos. Yang also said that the immortal lord has been in the chaos. Could it be, Xian Wuzong wants to find the real immortal lord? When this guess appeared, Zuyun was shocked for no reason. If the real immortal lord appears, what will happen to the fairy world? After all, according to Yang, the immortal lord was thrown into chaos by him. The contradictions and conflicts that caused all this were caused by Yang's claim that he wanted to be the immortal emperor, and he forcibly divided the 4-sided immortal realm into 5-sided immortal realm, and caused the 4-sided divine beasts to retreat, and the dragon and phoenix tribes took over instead. The dragon and phoenix tribes were also kept by Yang. It seems that the troubles in the immortal realm are much greater than I imagined. Zuyun took a deep breath and suddenly felt a little powerless. If this guess is true, Yang might have made him the master of the immortal realm in order to attract the attention of the real immortal lord. As for him, he said he wanted to return to Blue Star. But who knows whether it is true or not? Seeing Zuyun's inexplicable expression, Wan Potion also vaguely guessed something and said, Zuyun, are you in trouble in the immortal realm now? Is it Yang? How to say it? Zuyun didn't know where to start, and he couldn't cut it off, so he could only say, I'm thinking that Yang might also want to use me. This guy is a complete henpecked person. Although he can be powerful and blessed in the fairy world, once he meets his mother-in-law, her eyes will make his legs tremble. I kept scolding him at that time, but he laughed. There was no response, so I scolded Qiu Linjian, but who knew that this guy just hit me unconscious with a hammer. Talking about this again, Wan Potion hated and gritted his teeth. He is indeed afraid of Qiu Linjian. Zuyun also sighed and said, so, he allowed Qiu Linjian to scheme around while he pretended to be dead. He is very good at pretending, Wan Potion said helplessly, but unfortunately, I can't get angry with him. Maybe he has some leverage against Qiu Linjian. This is unknown. Zuyun also looked up at the sky and said, the reason why I know so much is because I recently saw the jade tablet with his immortal soul attached to it, which was taken to the dragon clan ancestor by the Phoenix King. Saw it? You arrived at the ancestral land of the dragon clan and saw the Phoenix King. Hearing this, Wan Potion couldn't help but be surprised. Yeah, why, is this weird? Zuyun asked back, but saw that Wan Potion was deep in thought. It's not weird, it's very bad. Wan Potion took a deep breath and said, Dragon King Feng Wang, I know better. He was raised by the Yang family, and Qiu Linjian also knows it. Letting Feng Wang appear in the dragon clan's ancestral land shows that, Ye Yang has also begun to guard against Qiu Linjian, and may have taken action. Zhu Yun disagreed, shook his head, and said, I don't think so. Ye Yang is still afraid that Qiu Linjian will find out if he makes any small moves. I also know something about this. Ye Yang wants to return to Blue Star, but Qiu Linjian doesn't want to go back with Ye Yang. Wait a minute, Zhu Yun suddenly thought of something and said, did Qiu Linjian come from Blue Star with Ye Yang, or, Qiu Linjian is a creature under this fairy world? I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzhuan Xianxia. Chapter 1870. Why are you asking this? I don't know either. Wan Potion shook his head. He had never asked Ye Yang this question. Moreover, Ye Yang comes from a place outside the fairy world. What does he have to do with Qiu Linjian? Zhu Yun thought, Ye Yang wanted to go back, but Qiu Linjian didn't want to go back. Maybe this was the key to the problem. For example, Ye Yang came here alone, so what difference does it make where he is? If I bring Qiu Linjian with me. The blue star in Ye Yang's mouth is not friendly to Qiu Linjian. Of course Qiu Linjian doesn't want to go back. Zhu Yun thought further and further, and when he came back to his senses, Wan Potion stared at him as if he had seen a ghost. What you do? Zhu Yun was startled and asked quickly. I seem to be remembering something again. Ye Yang seems to have a space like Nangong Tianli, and Qiu Linjian came with him. Not only that, the dragon and phoenix beasts also came with him. Hearing this, Zhu Yun was shocked. Yes, there must be a similar space, otherwise how could he raise dragons and phoenixes? And Qiu Linjian may also be a fairy tale fox he raised, but not necessarily. But since there is such a space, isn't it the same wherever Ye Yang is? Why doesn't Qiu Linjian want to go back? Instead, he wants to change the fairy world into the demon world, dominated by the demon clan? Those who are not of my race must have different minds. Did Ye Yang consider this issue? In the fairy world, although humans and demons coexist, they are actually dominated by humans by default. This is the way of immortality, otherwise why in the lower realm, when demons have cultivated to the realm of demon saints, can they choose to cultivate again as adults? Or, continue to choose to be a demon, but transform into an adult instead of another race? If there is any change, it is the demons with the blood of extraterrestrial demons. Zhu Yun shook his head and threw these distracting thoughts away. He also made a decision in his heart. He should ignore Ye Yang's decision for the time being and go to Mengwei first. No matter what happens in the fairy world, what does it have to do with him? You Ye Yang have your own space. I, Zhu Yun, also have my own Liulai immortal realm. At worst, I will bring the people I want to take with me to live in the Liulai immortal realm. What does it matter to you, Ye Yang? It was also at this time that Zhu Yun decided in his heart that he would not listen to Ye Yang for the time being and act according to his own plan. He still has some resistance in his heart. I finally came from the lower world to such a state, why should I still be manipulated? Thinking of this, Zhu Yun said to Wan Potion, Lao Wan, what are your plans next? After I refine the Wanjian Mountain and Chaos Sword again, I will definitely fight Ye Yang again. I will beat him until he cries for father and mother. Okay, be ambitious. Zhu Yun laughed loudly, patted Wan Potion on the shoulder and said, then I'll leave first. Let's go, let's go. You have opened the seal of my memory. I also need to sort out my memories. The seal is broken, but some of them have been changed. I have to think about it. Wan Potion waved his hand and had no intention of teaching the sword again. He sat in the sword energy formation and allowed Zhu Yun to leave Wanjian Mountain. Returning to the fairy world, Zhu Yun's mood suddenly became brighter, and he was no longer so anxious about finding the sea of chaotic stars. Even if Xian Wuxing is not the immortal master, but he has found the real immortal master, so what? If I can beat you, I'll fight. If you can't, I'll run away. But before that, he must find Meng Wei. Of course, if possible. It just so happens that there are no demons in my glazed immortal realm, so I can include the entire Chaos Star Sea into the glazed immortal realm. Maybe, I can expand my immortal realm. Originally, he just wanted to enter the world of the universe. But obviously, the Liuli immortal realm is huge, and the key lies in how he develops it. Of course, placing more world stars is his current idea. Likewise, the more creatures there are in the Liuli immortal world, the stronger he becomes. The most important point: the Liuli immortal world is under his control. As long as he recognizes the demons, it is equivalent to the Liuli immortal world recognizing the demons. The demons will naturally become the creatures of the Liuli immortal world and thrive there. Then the problem of the demon clan is easily solved. To be precise, it should be Meng Wei's problem. Zuyun flew along the boundary between the two domains while thinking about the details. From what I can see in my mind, the Liuli immortal realm is also vast and boundless. The existence that the great universe world transformed into was like a world star, but it was actually just a tiny speck of dust in the glazed immortal world. Therefore, it is more than enough to place a whole sea of chaotic stars in Liuli immortal realm, so there is no need to worry at all. The only thing Zuyun needs to care about is whether he can suck the entire sea of chaotic stars into it in one fell swoop. If not, do you need to inhale them one by one? If it was the latter, it would be a bit troublesome. It would be better to let Meng Wei gather all the demons and then put them on the Liuli world first. In this way, Zuyun continued flying while thinking of ways. And in the chaos, Xian Wujing finally stopped. It's almost there. It should be nearby. Look around and don't get too far away. Remember? Xian Wuxing said to the two immortal emperors behind him. Looking for, what are you looking for? Ximen Yuanqing looked confused, and so did Dongfang Bai. There is nothing in the chaos. Of course you find something that shouldn't be here. If you find anything, please notify me as soon as possible. Xian Wuxing said calmly. Does it mean that it is incompatible with the chaos? Looking at the chaotic force flowing around him, Ximen Yuanqing felt that the scene was exactly the same as when he first entered the chaos. He did not find anything unusual, and he could not imagine how Xian Wuzong determined the location of this place. You know, in the chaos, everyone's realm will be restricted, almost the same as the Golden Immortal. Since he could not sense it, how did Xian Wuzong determine that he was here? Don't worry about it, Xian Wuzong raised his eyebrows and said, if you want to live, you have to listen to me. Otherwise, don't blame me for being ruthless. Xian Wuzong turned his face. Dongfang Bai quickly pulled Ximen Yuanqing. He was more sober and knew that if he wanted to survive, the only way was for the two of them to join forces. To be honest, they didn't trust Xian Wuzong either. It was nothing more than wanting to use them. Seeing Dongfang Bai winking at him, Ximen Yuanqing immediately understood and said, yes, Immortal Lord, then shall we go and look for it separately? Yes. Xian Wuzong nodded lightly and said, with this as the center, the radius is 10,000 miles, I will only wait for you here for one day. If you don't come back in an hour, don't blame me for being merciless. You know, I saved your lives. The two immortal emperors took a deep breath each, and then went in one direction together. After a long time, after not seeing the two people, Xian Wuzong showed a strange smile at the corner of his mouth. Then he took out the tortoise shell, and the immortal light flashed across his forehead. This immortal light condensed like substance and turned into copper coins. A full 108 coins drilled into the tortoise shell. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1871. Brother Ximen, what do you think the immortal master wants us to find? It was only after he felt that he was far away that Dongfang Bai asked. What else could it be? It must be an immortal creature that can break through the immortal world and go to the upper realm. A strange color flashed through Ximen Yuanqing. Isn't he here to find the source of origin? In this aspect of thinking, Dongfang Bai's mind is not as flexible as Ximen Yuanqing's. He is already an immortal lord, how could he not be able to sense the source of the fountain? Ximen Yuanqing's eyes flashed with light as he said, I also want to find the source of the fountain and achieve the position of immortal lord, but then I thought, maybe, there is no such thing as the fountain of origin in the fairy world, everything is fake. False. How is this possible? Dongfang Bai obviously didn't believe it and exclaimed. Actually, it doesn't matter whether it's true or not. What's important is what the immortal master is looking for. If, then the things he finds can be used by us, do you think we can leave the immortal realm from chaos? Speaking of this, Ximen Yuanqing couldn't help but sigh, why don't people like them want to leave the fairy world and go to a wider world? These hundreds of thousands, even millions of years of immortal emperor are really boring now. Especially in the days when the immortal master disappeared, they could be said to be more than tens of millions of people. I don't think the immortal lord is that stupid. He asked us to come here to look for it. He must have figured it out. Even if we find it, we probably won't be able to use it. Dongfang Bai shook his head, feeling that this was more likely. How will you know if you don't try? Ximen Yuanqing was a little unwilling and said, after the immortal lord rescued us from the foot of Wanjian mountain, there has been no movement. We can only feel Zuyun's position through the emperor chain. Apart from that, what else does he have? Performance. After hearing this, Dongfang Bai also thought about it and said, that's true, but after all, he is the immortal lord. He must have ways to plot against us. Brother Dongfang, Ximen Yuanqing said seriously, it's just a possibility. In fact, if we want to resist, this is the best chance in this chaos. No matter how powerful the immortal lord is, he is still limited in the chaos. We are two people, he is only one. No matter how many methods he has, he can only use the strength of the golden immortal. I thought that chaos was also the master of the immortal realm, but after feeling that his realm was also suppressed, I guess that chaos is beyond his control. Dongfang Bai's eyes suddenly lit up. They were scolded all the way, and they actually wanted to fall out with each other for a long time, but they had no choice but to have a natural respect for the fairy master, so they naturally did not dare to do so. But Ximen Yuanqing is right, since everyone's realm is limited, and this is not your territory. If we don't resist, will we wait until you take the initiative? Not to mention Ximen Yuanqing, even Dongfang's defeat can be seen. Xian Wuxing may kill them in one fell swoop after they find what they are looking for. It is true that one person is not strong enough to resist, but two people always have a greater chance. Done. Dongfang Bai's eyes narrowed and he said, Brother Ximen, is there anything you haven't done yet? Not much, just 2 killing moves. What about you? I have half of the Sidhu family's inherited immortal weapon, maybe I can kill him. By the way, how much do you know about the Sidhu family's immortal weapons? Why haven't you found the other half after so long? Speaking of the Sidhu family, Ximen Yuanqing was also a little dissatisfied and said, the Sidhu family is nothing. If the whole family is wiped out by you, you will let one of them go. You make me feel that the Sidhu family's immortal weapons are not that big. Yes, you don't care at all. No way, Dongfang Bai said helplessly, Brother Ximen, no one else knows except you. If I pretended to care too much and attracted Bai Minjiun to take action, what would I do? UN 5 elements were separated at that time. The Immortals gathered in the Mayan Bay Fairy Kingdom and had some contact with Lin Fei, but I, Dongfang, have been defeated and can only act alone, but I can't find your help. Hearing Dongfang Bida vomit his bitterness, Ximan Yuanqing also said, I was also thinking about finding the source of the spring. Moreover, the 5 elements loose immortal wanted to enter the chaos and look for the chaos lotus. But who would have thought that the chaos lotus is there? The 5 elements loose immortal is dead now, and Lin Fei is nowhere to be found. I feel like I'm just stepping on shit if I'm alive. Indeed, I really don't want to stay in this fairy land for a moment. I always feel that the demons may enter it in large numbers at any time, and there is also a Chinese fairy land. I don't know what Ye Yang's attitude is. I always feel that he is lying. He will be in a coma until all of our immortal realms are exhausted, and then he can come out and take the position of the immortal lord. That's not necessarily true, Ximan Yuanqing said. Ye Yang seemed to be a man without great ambitions. At that time, he removed a part of our immortal domain to form his Chinese immortal domain. Maybe he just thought about it? It's a shame to be an immortal emperor. Originally, we were protected by the 4 divine beasts, otherwise we wouldn't have let them bully us like this. After all, we were not granted the title of immortal lord by the immortal lord. Dongfang Bai was convinced, sighed, and said, let's take a look. I don't know what the immortal wants us to look for. The two of them walked forward together, paying attention to their surroundings as they walked. On Xian Wujing's side, 108 copper coins transformed by the fairy light also entered the tortoise shell. After a moment of shaking, he dispersed into the chaos. Within a moment, the copper coins formed a huge light gate. On the other side of the light door, it was extremely dark. Xian Wuxing, are you ready? Suddenly, a deep voice came from inside. Almost. Xian Wuxing said respectfully. That's good, the voice responded, and then said, how chaotic is the fairy world now? It's very chaotic. The entire immortal realm in all directions should be in chaos. Xian Wujing said seriously. What about the Chinese immortal realm? I want to know about Ye Yang's situation. I can see through everyone in the immortal realm, but I can't see through Ye Yang. Xian Wuxing also sighed and said, Ye Yang, even with all my knowledge, can't figure out his fate. Let alone him, I can't figure out Qiu Linjian. Maybe they are not people from the heaven-reaching immortal world. I also suffered the same fate at that time, and could only hide here and hibernate. But you, on the other hand, suffered a lot. Xian Wuxing quickly knelt down and said, this is all what I should do. Master, please don't be so polite. That's right, the voice said with a hint of relief, then do you want to get your eyes back? With your eyes, you don't have to observe with immortality. Yes, of course I do. I always want to know in my dreams who dug out my eyes. The voice chuckled and said, one of your eyes is in the ancestral land of the Dragon clan, and the other is in the ancestral land of the Phoenix clan. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1872. Why, in the ancestral land of the 2 tribes. Xian Wuzong was greatly surprised and could not figure out the key. There is no reason, it's just that Ye Yang was in a whim. You can't calculate, so you can't calculate your eyeballs. He refined the 2 eyeballs into immortal tools with the power of the immortal king who is not this immortal way. Not to mention that you can't calculate, even I can't. Then master, why do you know that it will be in the ancestral land of the 2 tribes? Xian Wuzong knelt in the void, his body trembling a little. If he had eyes, how could he swallow his anger and be trapped in the emperor chain for so long? The dragon and phoenix tribes were brought here by Ye Yang. In the fairy world, apart from their ancestral land space, where else can you put your eyeballs? The master mentioned by Xian Wuzong is naturally the real fairy master of the fairy world. This fairy world also has a name, called Tongtian Fairy World. The Tongtian Fairy Master was indeed smashed into chaos by Ye Yong's hammer. Moreover, because of Ye Yong, he was also trapped in the chaos, and there would be no chance of recovery. The only person he could trust was Xian Wuzong. Unfortunately, Xian Wuzong was also injured by Ye Yong not long after. Not only did he have his eyes dug out, but he was also locked up in Purgatory Mountain. The hateful thing is that no one knew about this. The people in Purgatory Mountain didn't know either. Tongtian Immortal Lord knew about it, but unfortunately he couldn't get out. If he hadn't had some tricks, he would have passed the news to Xian Wuzong intermittently through the Emperor chain, and finally let Xian Wuzong come up with a countermeasure, and fooled Zhu Yun into releasing him. The key to our breakthrough lies in Zhu Yun, said Tongtian Immortal Lord. Ye Yong is not from the immortal realm, but Zhu Yun is the son of destiny in this immortal realm. The key is that he is the one who came out of the Huangming scene that Ye Yong created. If he is allowed to face Ye Yong, this situation may be broken. Can Zhu Yun do it? As far as I know, he doesn't seem to have any hostility towards Ye Yong. Xian Wuzong thought for a while and said, Ye Yong is smooth and scheming, and ordinary people really can't have any hostility towards him. But Qiu Linjian, he. Master, do you mean to start with Qiu Linjian? Xian Wuzong's eyes suddenly lit up, he ignored the most critical person. All along, he has been focusing on Ye Yong, but he didn't think of this key point. Qiu Linjian likes to calculate people. In her eyes, except Ye Yong, anyone can be used. Yes, said Tongtian Immortal Lord calmly, Ye Yong is very smart, pretending to be dead. However, I'm afraid no one in the immortal realm knows that Ye Yong and Qiu Linjian gave birth to a son in Huangming Xing. Ye Yuan. After you return from the chaos, use Ye Yuan to stir up the problem. Ye Yong is afraid of Qiu Linjian, and now is not his time, so he can only endure it. He also has a son. Xian Wuzong's eyes flashed with a gleam, and said, there is really no way to deal with Ye Yong, he doesn't even know that he has a son. Master, I have a general plan. After I return, I will start with Qiu Linjian. Well, Tongtian Immortal Lord responded, and was very satisfied with Xian Wuzong's reaction. He said, although Ziman Yuanqing and Dongfang Bai are obedient on the surface, they actually have rebellious intentions in their hearts. But let's make use of them. When they find the things, let them go back and let them be the immortal emperors in their own immortal domains. In this way, we can also restrain the central immortal domain to some extent. Now, you throw the Chaos Sword and the 10,000 Swords Mountain into this light gate for me. Yes, Lord. Xian Wuzong stood up, and then danced casually. A sword and a mountain suddenly emerged from his hands and were then sent into the light gate. Yes, after the mountain and the sword entered it, Tongtian Immortal Lord's voice seemed to become a little stronger, saying, now, wait for them to get the chaos mud and give it to me, your mission this time will be over, and then follow your plan and start with Qiu Linjian. Yes, Lord. Xian Wuzong bowed again, and then the light gate gradually faded, and Xian Wuzong also slowly sat down and floated in the void. He absorbed the power of chaos and slowly transformed it into the immortal power he needed. This light gate seemed to be calculated by him. But in fact, it almost exhausted all his immortal power. Fortunately, with his immortal king realm, transforming the attributes of immortal power is actually nothing. And chaos can transform everything, so he can naturally absorb and refine it. At the same time, Dongfang Bai and Ziman Yuanqing finally discovered the extraordinary thing in the chaos. A ball of mud. How can there be such a thing in the chaos? The two of them went up to it, and Ziman Yuanqing waved it over and pinched the mud in his hand, full of doubts. Dongfang Bai took a look and probed his immortal consciousness. Not only did he not feel the immortal power on it, but he also felt that this ball of mud was not as good as the dust in the fairyland. Dust is at least attached with immortal power, and there are some immortal laws. The immortal master doesn't want us to find this thing, does he? But can this thing be useful? Dongfang Bai was also confused. They had discussed before that if they found the treasure, they would borrow the treasure to fight Xian Wuzong to the death. But this mud is simply a 3-0 thing. It's useless. It's not impossible, Ximen Yuanqing thought for a while and said, anyway, he didn't say what it was, so we just handed it over first. It's impossible that we handed it over to the wrong person, right? In my opinion, maybe he doesn't know what it is, and after we hand it over, he will definitely be suspicious, and then use his immortal consciousness to explore, then we will attack at the same time and fight. Yes, he will definitely be suspicious, and when the immortal consciousness is explored, we will attack. Now everyone is suppressed here, no matter how many tricks he has, how can he resist our combined strength? After saying that, Dongfang Bai also took out the half-jade token from his arms and squeezed it hard. Well, let's go. Ximen Yuanqing waved his hand, and Dongfang Bai stuffed the jade token into his arms again. The reason why he didn't throw it into his own personal space was that he was afraid that he would need to use immortal power to take it out, which would waste some time. Although his realm was suppressed to the level of lower immortals, his reaction was still as sensitive as that of immortal kings. Dongfang Bai would naturally notice this. In order to survive, why not be an immortal master? The two put away the mud ball and went back along the original path. After a long time, they finally arrived in front of Xian Wuzong. Master, we found this unusual thing, can you take a look? Ximen Yuanqing presented the mud ball, and Dongfang Bai also carefully reached into his arms and held the half-jade card tightly. Yes, this is it, Xian Wuzong took it with joy, without even looking at the two of them, nor using his immortal sense, but waved his hand and said, you go back to your respective immortal realms, don't come out to cause trouble. These words made the two immortal emperors stunned, and Dongfang Bai also looked at Ximen Yuanqing, are you going to do it? I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1873. Ximen Yuanqing shook his head slightly, the movement was very small, but it did not escape the feeling of Xian Wuxing. However, he had long known that these two people had rebellious intentions, plus the reminder from the immortal Lord Tongtian. It was just that it could be used for the time being to contain the Chinese immortal domain, so he pretended not to notice it. Okay, you go ahead, I still have something to do in the chaos. After that, he left with a gesture, but he also made some preparations. If the two of them really dared to take action, he wouldn't mind making the two immortal emperors suffer a little. Although he is just the person in front of the Tongtian immortal lord, if he has no skills, how can the entire immortal world think that he is the immortal lord? Yes, immortal lord. After Ximen Yuanqing's reminder, Dongfang Bai naturally did not take action. The two of them, full of doubts, followed the way they came, as if they were escaping. They were afraid that Xian Wuxing would suddenly regret it, so they rushed to sue, but it still seemed like a dream. Dongfang Bai asked, Brother Ximen, are we okay now? Recalling that there was such a commotion in the fairy world, the fairy master didn't pursue it. I don't know, maybe, to the immortal lord, ours is just a small fight. Ximen Yuanqing was also unsure, but there was nothing he could do. Dongfang Bai said, then should I go find Situ Ching Chen? If I find it, I will get the other half of the immortal weapon. I advise you not to think about it for the time being, Ximen Yuanqing sighed and said, he seems to have let us go, but in fact he is giving us a warning. In my opinion, we should run our own fairyland first. Let's talk about it. There have been so many things going on recently, and the immortal realm is probably in a lot of chaos. That's right, let's talk about it later. Dongfang Bai didn't have much opinion. Hearing what Zimen Yuanqing said, he shut his mouth. The two of them hurriedly and slowly headed towards the exit of chaos. After several days, Xian Wujing fully recovered. He took out the tortoise shell again just like before, and then used his immortal power as copper coins to open the light door. Master, fortunately you fulfilled your mission and let them get the chaos mud. After saying that, he threw the chaotic mud into the light gate. Not bad, very good. Immortal Lord Tongtian was very excited and said, next, you should go back to the fairy world, but for the time being, stay in Mayanbei Fairy Kingdom to recover. When you are fully recovered, you will prepare to start from Qiulinjian. Lord, where is Zuyun? Xian Wujing naturally has his own rules, but he is unsure about Zuyun. As for Zuyun, you can use it when he reaches the Immortal Lord realm. Now, you still have to help him secretly. You must get there before Yeyong and let Zuyun be used for you. Otherwise, our end game will only be can lose. Yes, my lord. Xian Wuxing bowed, and the light gate also retreated. Only then did he absorb some of the chaos immortal power, and then went back. At the same time, Zuyun finally found Luan Xingai. He didn't expect that the chaotic sea was so far away. It's really strange. I originally thought that the Chaos Star Sea and the Demon Realm Passage are very close. Looking at the star field formed by the stars in the sky, feeling the majestic demonic energy, Zuyun couldn't help but murmur in his heart. Could it be that the immortal realm is also rotating like the world star, causing the position of the sea of stars to change? As far as Zuyun knows, the reason why Chaos Xingai has become a gathering place for demons is that, in addition to its own relationship, it is also very close to the demon world passage. The pure demon energy emanating from the passage will also be destroyed by chaos. Xingai absorbed it and was finally refined by the demons inside for his own use. In the chaotic sea of stars, the patterns of stars are difficult to find, and it is naturally difficult for people from the immortal world to break into them. Not everyone can master the way of the stars, and it is also one of the extremely profound laws. Wukong stood outside the chaotic star sea. Zuyun looked at it for a long time, but did not directly enter it. He first looked at it with the divine eye technique. In addition to the demonic energy lingering around these stars, there were also streaks of killing aura. Did Wu Ya cause trouble? If so, I think many demons are not willing to come to my great universe world, but, now that the great universe world has become the glazed immortal realm, they have nothing to do with them in this chaotic sea of stars. Is there any difference? Even in comparison, they can be safer and there will be no crisis. I don't know if they will be willing to do so. After thinking about it in his mind, Zuyun plunged into the sea of chaotic stars. As soon as he entered, Zuyun felt as if he had entered a fairyland. It seems that this place is also separated, but it has a certain connection with the fairy world. It's very similar to the Chinese immortal realm, but the chaotic atmosphere here is somewhat similar to the southern immortal realm. Zuyun whispered and moved forward. He didn't know where the holy demon star was. But it doesn't matter, as long as you meet a demon clan member, you can inquire about it. Although the demonic energy here reaches the sky, it is not a problem for him who cultivates the power of Chaos Immortal. Besides, Zuyun still has the Liulai immortal realm in his body. Even if his immortal power cannot be sustained, he can still be self-sufficient. And the main laws of space and time used are everywhere. It can be said that even if Zuyun goes to the devil world, he does not need to worry about danger. If you can't beat him, you can also escape to the Liulai immortal realm, and no one can do anything to him. This is also the reason why Zuyun is not afraid to enter it. After traveling for a long time, Zuyun found a world star with signs of demons living on it, so he flew in without hesitation. As soon as he landed, he was locked by several demon auras. Hmm. Zuyun exclaimed, and the demon aura suddenly became thicker, forming a pressure force. At the same time, several black shadows appeared from all directions, and they approached Zuyun with unfriendly faces. "Suppress him, use the magic soul method," a demon said with a very hoarse voice and a resentful tone. Zuyun snorted coldly, saying, "My friends, I have no ill intentions, why do you have to be so cruel?" "Cruel?" the demon said sarcastically, "You immortals invaded our soul-devouring demon clan, not only killing our people, but also taking away their bodies. You can kill the demons, why can't we kill you humans? It's not my fault. I'm new to the Chaos Star Sea, and even new to this planet. You're being too overbearing, aren't you?" Zuyun did come to inquire about the news. Of course, he was not afraid of these demon lords. He thought that if these demons could enter his glazed immortal realm in the future, it would be beneficial to him. There was no need to turn against each other. However, when he said this, not only did the demons still despise him, but the other demons also sneered. "Domineering? We demons are so domineering, what do you want? You humans in the fairy world are all about the law of the jungle, and we demons are even worse. If you don't accept it, let us feel your dominance." Zuyun smiled, "Really? Then it's as you wish." As soon as the voice fell, the overwhelming demonic pressure disappeared. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzwan Xianxia. Chapter 1874. Demon Lord is only equivalent to Deluo Jinxian, far inferior to Zuyun. I don't know where these people got the courage to attack him, the immortal Luo Tian. Zuyun is not afraid of meeting the immortal Lord anymore, let alone those who are lower than him. Be careful, this boy's law is mysterious, I don't know what law it is. Seeing how easily Zuyun dispersed their demonic powers, the expressions of these demon lords suddenly changed. The so-called soul-eating demons are their demonic powers that act on the soul. If it were not for their difficulty in reproducing and the extremely high purity of their bloodline due to their inherited demonic powers, they would not be able to survive on this planet. That's why he was so angry after dozens of people died and implicated his anger on Zuyun. Every law in the immortal world is mystical. Zuyun smiled lightly, stretched out his finger as a pen, and then it became a trap. The characters flew away and suddenly turned into a cage, instantly trapping these demon lords on the spot. "Let us go!" the demon shouted sharply. "Let it go? Why let it go?" Zuyun retorted, "Isn't this the tyranny you want?" Suddenly, all the demons were speechless. Zuyun added, "I just happen to be here, and I have no intention of being an enemy of you demons. If you guide me well, I might be able to give you a blessing. It's a pity." He shook his head, intending to teach these soul-eating demons some lessons. "Good fortune." The demon immediately sneered and said, "You humans have always been like this. You always like to use hindsight to make your words more beautiful. It's a pity that we don't follow this trick. Today I am invincible and fall into your hands. I want to kill you, it's up to you to kill me. If I frown, I won't be considered a member of the soul-eating demon clan. Although I'm domineering, I don't like people who kill indiscriminately. As I said, I'm just asking for answers. If you can answer my questions, I'll just give you a slight punishment and the matter will be over. How about that? Look, before you said you were sending good fortune, but now you've changed your words. Is this because you want us to be grateful?" The leading demon didn't believe Zuyun at all, and mocked, "Even if we knew, we wouldn't tell you, you might as well kill us." After saying that, he raised his head and exposed his dark neck. Zuyun looked over and saw that although the demon race was somewhat similar to the human race, it was only similar in outline and body shape. This neck is covered with thick black scales, faintly glowing with black light. I'm not interested in killing you. You want to die, and I'm too lazy to do it. Zuyun shook his head and said, I just want to know where is the Holy Demon Star, where the Holy Demon Clan is located. Holy Demon Clan. All the demons were stunned for a moment, and then the leading demon asked, don't you want to ask the whale-devouring demons? What are the whale-swallowing demons? Zuyun laughed dumbly. Of course he knew that these demons had misunderstood him, and they were not interested in other demons. Now he just wanted to find Menghui first. I just want to know about the holy demons. Where is the clan? It seems that we really misunderstood you. I'm sorry. The leader of the demon clan was able to take it up and let it go. After pondering for a moment, he even took the initiative to apologize to Zuyun, which made him look high. The holy demon tribe is in the deepest part of the Chaos Star Sea. If you go deep into it, you will encounter 3 stars rotating side by side. At the same time, the largest star is black and blue, that is the Holy Demon Star. Zuyun remembered it in his heart, and at the same time removed the cage, and then asked, why do you think I am here? For the whale-swallowing demon clan. He wanted to help Menghui conquer the demons in this chaotic star sea. Now that he knew the location of the Holy Demon Star, he would naturally care about the other demons. There was a human immortal who practiced the demon whale swallowing technique of the whale swallowing clan demon before. It seems that he wanted to get the complete demon clan cultivation technique, so he went to the Chaos Star Sea to inquire. Unfortunately, we have never heard of whale swallowing clan. How would the demons respond to him? Who knows, he would just take action. If we lose, that's it. The demons believe in the strong, and the loser can only be said to be inferior in skill. Taking away all the dead people. This is unbearable. Hearing this, Zuyun also frowned. Someone actually came to the chaotic star sea to find the place of origin for the sake of magic power? Naturally, everything the human race cultivates has been improved. Otherwise, humans will not be able to practice. That person, shouldn't he be an evil immortal? Looking at this behavior, it seems that it is no different from the evil immortal. What state is he in? Zuyun thought for a while and then asked. Delugo Xianxia. The leader of the demon clan gritted his teeth and said, if our demon lord hadn't closed the door to death, how could he have been allowed to come and leave so easily? Zuyun nodded and said, it seems that man is quite capable. Even Delugo Xianxia dares to enter this chaotic sea of stars alone, and he dares to kill indiscriminately. He said in his heart that if he encountered him, he would kill him. He personally experienced the strange magical powers of these demon lords working together. If he hadn't practiced the laws of time and space and had the support of immortal power, he wouldn't even have been able to withstand their combined efforts to imprison him. This was Luan Xingai's first encounter with the demons, and he almost suffered a big loss. It's no wonder that these demons dare to use the realm of demon kings to surround and kill him. All I can say is, everyone has their own strengths. But on the other hand, why didn't Zuyun take advantage of himself and break into this chaotic sea of stars alone? Okay, it's time for me to go. Zuyun waved his hand and said goodbye to these demon lords. Since he has obtained the position of the Holy Demon Clan, there is no need to stay here. However, Zuyun would definitely give the good fortune mentioned before, but obviously not at this time. And the so-called good fortune, of course, is to let them enter the Liulai immortal realm. However, these demon lords are obviously not at a high enough level and cannot make decisions for the soul-devouring demon clan. Fairy friend, please stay. Seeing Zuyun leave as soon as he said, these demon lords were also anxious. The leading demon lord said, although the demon lord is in seclusion, we still have the demon lord in charge of the demon clan, why not? Zuyun said lightly, I am not interested in meeting your demon lord. I said I just came to inquire about the news of the Holy Demon Clan. After that, he flew up and planned to leave here, but he didn't expect that another majestic demon energy came, covering the sky and the sun, as if it was covering the sky from bottom to top. The demon lord is here. The leading demon lord immediately made a joyful sound, and then hurriedly said to Zuyun, "Don't worry, my friend, the demon lord must have something to ask you." Zuyun did not respond. One hand touched the fairy mirror on his chest, and the other hand had already controlled the chaotic fairy power. The demon lord, comparable to the realm of the immortal lord, and the soul-devouring demon clan's magic power on the immortal soul, I am afraid that I can't deal with it. My friend, I heard that you want to give us soul-devouring demon clan a chance. Why, you are not keeping your word now. In the sky, the black fog jumped out and landed in front of Zuyun, and suddenly condensed into a figure. He raised his head slightly, looked at Zuyun proudly, and said lightly. Zuyun's expression was cold, and the fact that he could ask this question meant that his previous move was completely seen by the other party. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1875. Oh. Then what will the demon lord say? Although he was wary of the opponent's strength, Zuyun would not be at a disadvantage in terms of momentum. He is not familiar with this soul-devouring demon clan, so why is the other party familiar with him? Presumably, in the entire fairy world, he is the only one who is proficient in the laws of time and space. Zuyun was thoughtful. Although the other party had discovered it a long time ago, he only showed up when he was about to leave. It was obvious that it was because he had no idea about himself. Therefore, coming out at this time must be just a test. Fellow immortal, seeing that Zuyun didn't seem to take his threat seriously, the demon lord also put away his expression and said, "I'm not asking you for an explanation, but I am also very curious about what friend Xian said." What a blessing! Zuyun suddenly smiled, and when he recognized Rang, it meant that he was going to be at a disadvantage. And the situation of the soul-eating demon clan at this time is definitely not good in the Chaos Star Sea. I won't be aimless. I said good fortune, but they disrespected me first. I didn't fight back, which is already a great face to you demons. Hearing Zuyun's unceremonious words, the demon lord narrowed his eyes and said, "Tell me, fellow immortal, what should we, the soul-eating demon clan, do if we want to obtain this kind of fortune?" How could he not hear that there was something in Zuyun's words, so he had to take the initiative in his words. This does not mean that he wants to make a fortune with Zuyun, but he also needs to take the initiative to understand Zuyun before making a decision. Zuyun also knew what the demon lord meant, and gave both sides a step to step down, and simply said, whether it is the devouring demon clan or the demon clan in the entire Chaos Star Sea. The reason why one cannot truly enter the life of the immortal world and be recognized by the immortal Dao is that the reason must be clearer to me than to you. The demon lord frowned and said, "Can the immortal friends solve the problems we have had since the demon realm?" Zuyun smiled confidently, "Of course you can." "Humph, you are talking nonsense. Many demon clans in Chaotic Star Sea have gathered together to try to solve this problem, but it has been difficult to solve it for many years. The only immortal friend is Luo Tianshang. How can it be solved with just one word?" Demon Lord saw that Zuyun didn't even have to pretend, so he couldn't help but shouted angrily. Zuyun was unmoved and still kept a smile on his face, saying, "Since the Demon Lord doesn't believe it, then I just assume that I don't have the ability. Anyway, I didn't kill the people of your soul-eating demon clan, and I don't care about what I did before. The collision will happen later." After that, he just pretended to leave. But the Demon Lord flashed and stopped Zuyun again. "What else does Demon Lord do? If you want to take action, Zhu, the immortal Luo Tian, may not be afraid of you." As he spoke, his hands were filled with extremely pure chaos immortal power. The Demon Lord had no intention of taking action, but said coldly, If the immortal friend really has such ability, I think our soul-eating demon lord would be happy to see the immortal friend. If he can help our soul-eating demon clan, we soul-eating demon lord the clan will not be stingy either. Really? Zuyun raised his eyebrows. He said something nice, but it was just a scene talk. He didn't have all the confidence to deal with a demon king. But if there is another demon lord and he wants to attack him, there is no other way but to run away from him. Of course it is. We demons always keep our word. There is no need for me to lie to you, right? Zuyun smiled and said, but I still have important things to do. How about getting things settled first and then talking to the soul-eating demon lord? Why is it so important? As far as I can see, there is nothing more closely related to the fate of the soul-eating demon clan. Fairy friend, are you going to take the initiative, or are you going to offend me a little? These words were already a complete threat, they were nothing more than polite words. Zuyun remained unmoved and said calmly, I'm going to the Holy Demon Clan to do something. What does the Demon Lord think of the Holy Demon Clan? Holy Demon Clan? You are a human, what are you going to do with the Holy Demon Clan? The Demon Lord couldn't help but was stunned. He only noticed the fight between Zuyun and several Demon Lords later, and didn't know why Zuyun was here. Why, the soul-eating demon clan still wants to interfere with the Holy Demon Clan's affairs. Zuyun was very good at observing people's expressions. When he saw that the Holy Demon Clan was mentioned, the other party's expression was a bit abnormal. That's not the case, the Demon Lord's face became even more ugly. He couldn't hear the ridicule in Zuyun's words, and he didn't dare to show any disrespect to the Holy Demon Clan. He could only say, I am the Holy Demon Clan, one of the top demon clans in the Chaotic Star Sea. Some major events in the Chaotic Star Sea are all decided by their major races. We and other small clans stay in a corner, so naturally we don't dare to offend. Therefore, I am also afraid that my fairy friends will be offended in the past. The bad luck of the Holy Demon tribe. I see, Zuyun smiled faintly and said, then Zhu can thank the Demon Lord for his concern. However, there is no need for the Demon Lord to worry. I am an old acquaintance with the saint of the Saint Demon Clan. I haven't seen him for a long time. That's why I came to Chaos Zingai to reminisce with her. You mean, the new Saint Menguia? Zuyun smiled and said, yes, it's Menguia. The Demon Lord took a breath. You met him in the lower realm? Zuyun tilted his head and said, the Demon Lord knows a lot. I didn't expect that the immortal friend would have such an origin. The Demon Lord took a deep breath and said, I can take the immortal friend directly there. Oh? Aren't you looking for the Demon Lord? The Demon Lord sighed and said, no more searching. If the Demon Lord knew that the immortal friend was looking for Menguia, he would definitely not stop him. Instead, he might send the immortal friend there in person. Zuyun was relieved when he saw the reaction of the Demon Lord. It seemed that everything went smoothly after Menguia returned to the Chaos Star Sea. That's great, but the Demon Lord won't be offended, right? He teased, making the Demon Lord smile bitterly. My friend, don't make fun of me. The Demon Lord is still in seclusion to comprehend the truth, so don't affect him. Okay, then you lead the way. Zuyun made a gesture of invitation. The Demon Lord nodded and flew in front of Zuyun. Then he turned to several Demon Lords and said, you guys, go back and leave a letter to the clan, saying that I am taking my friend Zhu to the Holy Demon Clan to find the Dream Demon Lord. Dream Demon Lord. In front of the fairy, she still called her the Saint Girl, but now she became the Demon Lord. Although it was only a change of 2 words, the information revealed in it made Zuyun very excited. This shows Menguia has unified the Holy Demon Clan, and his status is quite high. Yes, Lord Demon. The Demon Lords bowed and agreed, and then quickly stepped back. The Demon Lord nodded and said, Friend Zhu, let me introduce myself. I am Shiwuja. Zuyun. Zuyun chuckled and said, has Meng Wei become the demon lord of the Holy Demon Clan? Shi Wujia took a deep breath and said, not only has she become the demon lord, but she has also sent many people to notify the various demon clan stars and told us that she will take us to a good place. However, many people do not believe it, and thus fight endlessly. We, the soul-devouring demon clan, did not believe it at first, but later the demon lord said, it is better to believe it than not to believe it. The demon lord Meng ignored those who did not believe it, but used some means to destroy those who resisted. On the contrary, he was very good to the demons who agreed.